Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Just Sayin podcast. I'm Shay, and just like the last few weeks, we have a shit ton to talk about. So, Jarris, what are we starting off with here?
Well, first off, the playoffs are over. Spoiler alert. So, we're obviously going to be discussing that. But first, we got the MLB. We're going to be discussing news from around the league and giving you our standings update. But now that the playoffs are over, we're going to have a lot more time to put into the MLB. So we're going to be going a little bit more in depth going forward. Then NASCAR racing weekend was this past Sunday, obviously. So we're going to discuss that. And then, as aforementioned, the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Finals, because we have two new champions that were crowned. And then we're going to get into off-season talk, because right after the finals, it's the off-season for these sports. So we're going to discuss the latest trades and signings from around the leagues.
That's right. Just so you know, everybody, not counting or anything, but 72 days till NFL football.
That's right. And now there's only about 109 days until the new NHL season.
Whoa.
But who's counting?
That's right. So we're going to start off with some news around the world. What?
Oh, I forgot to include that in the breakdown.
That's okay. We're still moving on with the news. And it is, this time, around the world. So starting off, though, huge congratulations to LSU. They have won the Men's College World Series 2-0 over Coastal Carolina after Coastal Carolina's coach got ejected in the first game. Very controversial. This is LSU's second championship in the last 3 years. So huge congratulations to them.
Awesome. Yeah, for LSU, they got a really strong college baseball program there, don't they?
Yeah, they have a very strong baseball program, aka Paul Skeens.
Yeah, so huge congratulations to the Tigers. Moving on, Connor Hellebuck, goaltender for the Winnipeg Jets, wins the Vezina Trophy and the Hart Trophy with a historic season. He's only the third goaltender to be named MVP in the expansion era since 1967.
Wow.
Carey Price for the Canadiens and Dominik Hasek for the Buffalo Sabres were the only other goaltenders to do it. Had a record of 47, 12, and 3. 2 even goals against average, a .925 save percentage, and 8 total shutouts.
Pretty good.
A lot of talk with Hellebuck, obviously, about the playoffs and how he struggles in the playoffs. But with this season and him winning the Hart and his second Vezina in his career, I think even without a cup, this makes him a surefire Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably. Maybe not a first ballot, but definitely a Hall of Famer at some point. Absolutely.
So congratulations to Hellebuck, and we'll see what the Winnipeg Jets can do next season.
That's right. Moving on, Travis Hunter has officially signed his rookie contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars with $30 million right up front at signing.
God damn.
Most ever for a rookie contract in the NFL.
Yeah, this is a historic mark. With Hunter being potentially a generational talent as a two-way player.
Yeah.
And he's been learning both of the playbooks, mostly offense, but he has worked on the defensive side of the ball in the training camp, mini camp, and all that. We'll see if it's going to be worth it. But, talents like him don't come very often.
No. No, they don't.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for Travis Hunter and the Jaguars. I'm really excited to see what they do this season. And hopefully it's better than last year. That's all I'm asking.
Hopefully.
Moving on, Aaron Rodgers, who recently signed his one-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was on the Pat McAfee show this past week, and he had an interesting comment, and I'm not entirely surprised by this. He says, as quote, pretty sure this is it, regarding the upcoming season as potentially being his final season in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised either. If it were to be his final season. So wants to go out with Pittsburgh. Said that's why he signed a 1-year deal. So, we'll see how it goes. I don't know.
I don't know either at this point. It's highly unpredictable. I think it could go really good or really bad.
Or right in the middle, because that's what they are.
Exactly.
Moving on to the NBA, the Buss family sells a majority stake in the Los Angeles Lakers for a record. Are you sitting down? $10 billion with a B dollar price tag, shattering the previous record for $6.1 billion for the Celtics earlier this year. So, holy shit.
That's a lot of money.
Lot of money. They've been the majority owners of the Lakers since the 60s or 70s, I believe. So they've had a very long tenure as owners. Obviously, very successful. Plenty of championships to boot. So big congrats to the Buss family, I guess. And I mean, you made $10 billion.
Yeah, I believe the owner they sold it to also owns the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, as part of the ownership group.
Yeah. So that's good for them. I think that's pretty good. And for the NBA conspiracy theorists out there, this does not make the Doncic trade or the Mavs winning the first overall pick look any better.
No, not at all.
So Luka, if you're ready to sign your extension, now is the time.
Yeah.
Moving on, the Hockey Hall of Fame, which has no affiliation with the NHL, by the way. Their inductees were announced today. Joe Thornton, Duncan Keith, Zdeno Chara, and Alexander McGillney elected as NHL players. No argument there.
Huge congratulations.
Also, women's Olympic greats Jennifer Botterill for Canada and Brianna Decker for the U.S. will be inducted. And for builders, Boston University's former coach Jack Parker and former Canadian women's hockey coach and GM Danielle Savio, were elected as well. So huge congratulations to all the players, builders, and international competitors elected into the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely. Well deserved. Huge congratulations. Moving on to our last point here, and this is where the world comes in, everybody. The FIFA Club World Cup is underway. Remember next year is the FIFA World Cup. So the Club World Cup is currently underway. Lionel Messi and Inter Miami have reached the final 16, with Messi now extending to a perfect 33-0 in group stages. Obviously, one of the greatest soccer players of all time for, the world's most popular sport. So, I mean, what more can you say? He's the best.
Yeah, personally, we're not watching any of the Club World Cup or anything like that. We just wanted to give a little bit of a quick mention, but who knows? Maybe in, a couple future episodes, we'll mention it again.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. That's going to do it for sports news. Now we're going to move on to the MLB.
The Major League Baseball.
Major League Balls.
Yeah, we're going to start off with what else? The Devers drama. As it came full circle for Rafael Devers and the Red Sox, they did face the Giants 5 days after the trade happened. Quick little recap over the series. The Giants would win the series 2-1. Devers would go 2 for 12 with a home run in the series. But his first game, he went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. So I was pretty happy the first game, but then we lost the next 2. And we'll get into the standings in a minute about how the Red Sox definitely cooled off. But yeah, came full circle. And all his comments about he's ready to play first base for the Giants, he'll do whatever for the team, and then footage of him practicing at first base. It's just, I'm over it. I'm so over it at this point.
Yeah, that's tough. That is tough.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, so now we're just a Red Sox podcast and a Dodgers podcast.
Yeah.
A little segue into the next point here. Shohei Ohtani pitched again Only pitches 1 inning this time as well, but strikes out 2 players and does not give up a run. Is he getting closer to seeing the mound in a full game?
I mean, I think so. The Dodgers are clearly being very careful about his rehabilitation. So they have a plan that is very strict, and they're strictly following through with it. So I think we could be seeing him maybe pitch more than 1 inning here soon, and then a full game within the next month, maybe 2.
Yep. And the last point before we get to the standings, Seattle Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh, who is having an incredible season this year, is the first player to 30 homers this season, still being out guys like Ohtani and Judge with 32 total as of this recording.
Yeah, he's having a breakout season for sure up in Seattle. All right, we're going to finish off the MLB with our standings update as of June 24th, 2025. So, as per usual, starting in the American League East, the Yankees still hold the top spot at 45-33, but they're 3-7 in their last 10. They are scuffling right now. On the flip side, the Tampa Bay Rays are 43-35, and they're 7-3 in their last 10. They're 2 games behind the Yankees in first, and they are in talks with a Jacksonville real estate group to sell the team.
That's right. Might be moving closer to Orlando, but MLB still wants to keep the Tampa market, so we'll see what happens if the sale does go through. But yeah, our most recent series was against the Tigers, one of the best teams in baseball still, and we did win the series 2-1.
Yeah, so the Rays are still climbing up the leaderboard and still staying very hot.
Yeah, as of May 16th, we lead in a lot of hitting categories, especially. Yeah. So we've been one of the best teams in baseball since then, which I'm kind of surprised about.
So am I. The Blue Jays are in third, 3.5 games behind the Yankees. The Red Sox, I mean, you saw it coming. 40-40, perfect 500, baby. 6-4 in their last 10. Losers of 3 straight. Perfectly mediocre. I love it. And then finally, the Orioles are 11 games back, 34-44, 6-4 in their last 10. They've slowed down a little bit, but they're still improving for sure. We'll see if it continues, and maybe they come out of the basement at the end of the season. But right now, they're still at the bottom. To the AL Central, Detroit, still the hottest team in baseball. 49-30 leads the Central. Cleveland right behind, or actually not right behind, a pretty big gap. 8.5 games behind first place in the Central. The Royals 10.5, Minnesota in fourth, 11.5, and the White Sox 25-54, 24 games back. Not surprised.
Nope. They've actually done worse over this stretch since the last time we did our update.
Yes, that's right. The AL West, the Houston Astros currently lead at 45-33. The Mariners are in second, 4.5 games back. The Angels in third, 7 games back. The Rangers, 7.5 games back in fourth. And the Athletics, just Athletics, people, 14 games back. So a lot more separation now as we're going through the season. A lot more separation. In the National League, the Phillies lead currently in the East at 47-31. The Mets, though, right behind, only a game and a half behind them in second. Then there's a huge fall off the third with the Braves 10.5 games behind at 36-41. But they are 7-3 in their last 10, and the Mets are actually 1-9 in their last 10. The Mets are scuffling. Nationals in fourth, Miami in fifth. I mean, no surprise. In the NL Central, the Cubbies, they are currently out in front at 46-32. The Brewers behind them at 3.5 games back. St. Louis also tied with the Brewers, 3.5 games back. Cincinnati, 5.5 back, so the Central is very close. And then there's Pittsburgh, 15 games back. I'm so sorry, Paul Skeens. Finally, the West. The Dodgers, shocker, still up front at 48-31. The Giants are 3.5 games behind them. The Padres 5.5 in third. The Diamondbacks 7.5. So everybody in the National League West is above 500, except the Rockies. The Rockies are 18-60, 29.5 games back.
So they have won some games though.
They have. They are 5-5 in their last 10. So
all right, hey, better.
That's all you can ask for. All you can ask for is some improvement. So that is that is your standings update, everybody.
Yeah, we're over halfway through the season now.
Yeah, I think just over.
Just right at the halfway point.
Or 2 games behind the halfway point, yeah.
Yeah, so we're starting to see things tighten up. We're starting to see a little bit of separation between the haves and have-nots.
Yep.
And the trade deadline is not until July 31st, and the All-Star game is on July 15th.
Yep.
So those are some important dates coming up, and that's our standings update. So obviously, now that the playoffs are over, we'll probably be discussing more of it every single week.
Yep. All right, moving on to NASCAR. Meow.
Turn right.
No, it was left still.
Oh, dang it. That's why I crashed right in the wall.
Damn it, Bobby.
All right, yeah. Starting off with NASCAR at Pocono. Chase Briscoe with his win at Pocono. His first win with Joe Gibbs Racing. Now 11 drivers locked into the playoffs. Only 5 spots remain, and Briscoe's another different winner.
Yep.
Wow, this kind of insane. The next race is at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yeah, only 5 spots left with still, I think, 9 races till the playoffs. So
it's going to get chaotic.
We could see all 16 winners for the first time ever.
Wow.
Maybe even 17 and completely fuck up the playoffs. I don't know.
Imagine like getting the win and then not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It could happen. With the way this year's going, it could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, next race is at Atlanta, like Jared said. Next point of note here, the NASCAR unveils their version of an in-season tournament because that's the thing now. Every sport has to do it, I guess. So their version of it, which is partnered with TNT because their TNT is also having 5 races this year until it switches to NBC. Their version of it is 32 drivers, takes place over 5 rounds, and the winner wins $1 million. The drivers advance by finishing better than their opponent each week. My personal thoughts, who gives a shit?
Stupid.
This
is the most gimmicky.
Yeah.
This is the most gimmicky thing, like non-essential, like who cares?
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the NBA in-season tournament, but this makes even less sense to me. So I don't know. Cool, sure. I mean, if you win $1 million, whoever wins gets $1 million. I mean, that's awesome. But like, what does it do for the fans? Nothing.
Yeah. I don't got nothing else to say. That's just, to me, that's total garbage.
Yeah, I think it's pretty dumb.
Yeah. NBA in-season tournament, not great either. At least it does count to the regular season, so it doesn't take away.
I mean, this still counts too,
or anything
because of points and wins and everything. But like,
man,
why?
The NHL's 4 Nations face-off was pretty genius idea. It looks like
compared to this, absolutely.
Yeah, that's insane. Moving on, Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins his first race as a crew chief in the Xfinity Series by filling in as a crew chief for one of his teams, while the normal crew chief serves the suspension.
Yeah, I believe I saw something. He was the 5th or 6th person ever to win a race as a driver and as a team owner and as a crew chief. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Junior continues to be Dale Earnhardt Jr. That's awesome.
Yeah, really nice. So that's going to do it for NASCAR. And we're going to go ahead and take our little intermission here. When we come back, we got the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Finals, and the offseason news to talk about. So don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for listening up to this point, and we will see you very soon. All right, everyone, welcome back after the break. We're going to move right along here to the NBA Finals. Where we left off was 3-2 against the Pacers and OKC, with OKC leading the series.
Yep.
So, Game 6 in Indiana. What happened? Well, I'm going to tell you. Pacers dominate the Thunder on home court, winning 108-91. OJ Toppin led the Pacers in scoring with 20 points, followed by Nembhard with 17 and Pascal Siakam with 16, and Haliburton had 14, which is notable because he was playing through a right calf strain. 6 players in total with 10-plus points for Indiana. SGA led OKC in scoring with 21 points, followed by Williams with 16 and Isaiah Joe off the bench with 11. Pacers send the series back to Oklahoma City for Game 7, and at this point, the record for home teams in Game 7s of the finals were 15-4.
Another game where the Pacers had 5+, 6+ players with 10+ points. Just team effort all the way around.
Depth has mattered so much in this series. Pacers at home, they were good at home all year and in the playoffs, and they did what they had to do to give themselves a shot.
That's right. And here we go. Everybody's favorite words in sports. Game 7.
Ain't nothing like it.
And unfortunately, at 4:55 of the first quarter, Tyrese Haliburton, just so sad to see,
happened.
Suffers a torn right Achilles that obviously put him out of the game.
At that point, too, through only those few minutes, he had 9 points.
Yeah, 3 for 3 from 3. He was on fire to start the game.
Yeah, if you even hate the Pacers, if you hate Haliburton, I don't know how you could not feel bad.
Yeah.
In literally the game of his life.
Yeah.
In the worst possible scenario.
Yeah, it was hard.
I read his tweet too after he had surgery. He was in the hospital. I almost cried. It was probably one of the most heartfelt, genuine tweets from an athlete I'd ever read.
Yeah.
No question.
Just heartbreaking. So after the first half, it is 48-47 Pacers. So they continue to play strong without him. The third quarter was a fantastic one, though, for OKC as they outscored Indiana 34-20 off of 7 turnovers. McConnell was exceptional with 10 points to keep the Pacers in the game, though. The fourth quarter, Indiana tried to come back, cutting a 21-point OKC lead down to 10 with 2 minutes remaining, but the Thunder would hold on to win 103-91. Ultimately, the Pacers' 23 turnovers during the game turned into 32 points for the Thunder, and OKC only had 8 turnovers all game. So that was the defining stat of the game, for sure, the turnovers and the turnover differential. The Pacers were led in scoring by Benedict Mathurin, with 24, Siakam and McConnell with 16, and Nembhard had 15. Haliburton had 9 before his injury, as we already said. SGA led the Thunder with 29, Williams with 20, and Holmgren with 18. SGA, though, he put the league on notice. He's here. He caps off a historic season with a Finals MVP. And OKC wins their first title since the move from Seattle to put the exclamation point on one of the greatest seasons we have ever seen. They were the number one team most of the year. They kept fighting with the Cavs, back and forth. And they proved to be, we are the best team in the association.
Yeah, first player SGA since 1999 to have the scoring title, league MVP, finals MVP, NBA championship, and had Western Conference Finals MVP.
Yeah.
That's a lot of trophies.
Yeah, he had a career year, to say the least.
Yeah, one of the all-time greatest seasons. The team, one of the all-time greatest seasons. 84 total wins from the regular season and the playoffs combined. I believe third most in NBA history.
Yeah,
just insane. Yeah, for OKC, they did what they had to do. They played fantastic defense all game. The Pacers, though, they fought tooth and nail every minute. They did not give up. OKC, even though they were favored to win the series in the championship, they had to fight for every single win.
Yeah, an extremely hard series, one that went back and forth. And I mean, the Pacers lost, but you got to give it to them. They took it all the way to Game 7, the final possible game of the entire season, and they took it right to the end. So they got to be proud of themselves for sure.
Yeah, Halliburton, especially with just as a single player performance during the entire playoff run, one of the greatest we have ever seen.
Yeah, but he's overrated.
Not anymore. Yeah, I felt so bad I couldn't even watch. As soon as you saw the replay too, you knew, and he knew right away.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, give credit to OKC. Even though Halliburton was out of the game, the Pacers could have still won the game.
Yep.
For sure, and that's no knock to OKC winning the game. They like I said, they fought for everything. They played fantastic defense, and they get their first ever championship. And it was the most watched finals game 7 in 6 years. So there were a lot of people that were tuning in to see the outcome.
Yeah, very true.
So with OKC on top, what's next for the Pacers? They're our last team that have been eliminated. Is their window shut now or delayed with Halliburton potentially missing all of next season?
Yeah, I know the way too early favorites from ESPN, the odds, the OKC is number 1. The Pacers had an 11-1 odds before Halliburton's injury, and it dropped all the way to 40-1 odds. So I think their window could absolutely be shut here for next year. I think they could sneak into the in-season tournament. Like, I think they could enter as a 9th or a 10th seed. That's just how good and how important Halliburton is. Will they do something in the offseason try and help the team out? Maybe, but yeah, I don't see them, really doing much to get back to the finals.
Yeah, you cannot emphasize how important Halliburton was to this team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even without him, they still have great depth. They have some good stars in their core, but Halliburton is that leader. Halliburton is that focal point of the offense. He creates shots. He makes space.
Yeah.
He does so many things for that team, and you just cannot express just how important he is. So I agree with you. I would be very surprised if the Pacers were the favorites, for next season's championship. But like you said, they still have a really good team, and I don't see them like missing the playoffs or anything like that. I do expect management to look at making a move. I don't know like which of their bench players are under contract or not. I'll be looking at that during the offseason when I do, videos on teams that miss the playoffs. But yeah, it will be very interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what they do or don't do, like I said, I think they could sneak into the playoffs. I think they could very well miss the playoffs altogether. I think Halliburton's that important, even with their depth. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So that is going to do it for the NBA season. The NBA season is over, but obviously we still have the off season, which we will be discussing all throughout the summer.
First time in history, 7 consecutive years with a new NBA champion.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to another finals series here, and more heartbreak for one team, but for another team, they were also crowned league champion. So we're going to discuss it. Game 6, where we left off, the Panthers were leading the Oilers 3-2 in the Stanley Cup final.
Yep.
The Florida Panthers, though, dominated the Oilers. They dominated this game. They put the exclamation point on this series. They won 5-1 to capture their second straight Stanley Cup. Sam Reinhart with 4 goals in that game.
Yeah.
God damn. And Matthew Tkachuk with the other for Florida. Podkolzin had the only goal for the Oilers late in the third period. Just once Florida got that 2-3 goal lead, they just locked things down.
Yeah.
Nothing was getting through. Just such impressive defense, and getting sticks in lanes, cutting off all the passing lanes as well from all the Panthers players. Sam Bennett wins the Conn Smythe as playoff MVP with 15 goals in the playoff run. McDavid and Draisaitl did lead in playoff scoring, both with 33 points, but unfortunately it didn't matter. In this series alone, I want to take a quick look at the final series to see what the Oilers need to do in the offseason. All of Draisaitl, McDavid, and Corey Perry were a -7. So they were on the ice for 7 more goals scored against them.
Yeah.
So
not good.
Yeah. Plus minus is a weird stat, but if you're looking at just a few games, it tells you matchups and who was playing, well.
Yeah.
Stuart Skinner, the starting goaltender, went 1-3 with an .861 save percentage. Pickard, the backup, was 1-1 with an .878 save percentage, so did not fare much better. One player that really stood out to me was Evander Kane, one of their top 6 forwards. Throughout the series, he was pushed down to the third line. He only had 1 goal and he had 32 penalty minutes. Got a game misconduct late in the third period of Game 6, and he decided to not come back out for the handshake line.
Oof.
So real classy move right there.
Yeah.
For Florida, Bobrovsky, their goaltender, went 4-2 with a .919 save percentage, so he was very good. Brad Marchand, at 37 years old, had 6 goals. Verhaeghe led them in plus-minus with a +8, and Lundell was a +7. That whole third line for Florida was insane. And they did this with their captain, Alexander Barkov, who was one of the best two-way forwards in the game. He only had 5 assists in this series.
Yeah.
and they still won the cup. And unfortunately for Edmonton, they lose back-to-back finals. And Corey Perry, the curse continues. He loses his 5th final in 6 years.
That's got to be an awful feeling.
Yeah. If it's not for that Stanley Cup in 2007 that he won with the Ducks way back when, we would be talking about this a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. So Florida still proves to be the best team in hockey. And I would say especially after this year, probably by a wide margin. So what does that mean for Edmonton, though? Because now they have a lot of questions.
Yeah, after the series was over, McDavid said in an interview that he's not in a rush to sign an extension, which I don't think he should be.
No, not at all.
I don't think that indicates that he's going to leave Edmonton or anything. But obviously all the news outlets are going to run with that.
Yeah.
One thing they need to do, they have to fix their goaltending.
Yeah.
They have to fix their goaltending. Like, that's a no-brainer. I know the goaltending market's thin, but you got to do something.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to do something. They're going to need cap space. They have Evan Bouchard, their top offensive defenseman, as a restricted free agent. Talks are in that he's going to be within $10 million range. And they do not have a lot of cap space. So they need to get him signed. They got, a few depth players that they need to make decisions on. So after another tough loss for Edmonton, it's not going to get much easier during the offseason.
Yeah, I'd say they, compared to last year, they probably have a worse and more challenging offseason this year than they did last year.
Yeah, for sure. And, everyone's going to still say, well, you can't win a cup with McDavid. You can't win a cup with Draisaitl. I don't really think in this series that the Oilers played terrible, but Florida is just that much better.
Yeah, I like I said, I think it's by a wide margin that they're the best team in the NHL. I don't think right now anybody comes close. Their core is locked up still, so they're coming back more or less the same for next season. Marchand, I would imagine, would resign with Florida. So
yeah, he fits seamlessly.
Yeah,
in the lineup.
Thanks, Boston. So yeah, I don't think Florida's going anywhere. And hey, they can go 3 straight.
Yep, that's going to be the talk for Florida. Can they be the first team since the Islanders in the 80s to win 3 straight Stanley Cups in the salary cap era?
Yeah.
Which would be even more impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, unfortunately, the Oilers lost. I was rooting for the Oilers. But no knock to Florida. They played a fantastic series.
Yeah.
And they proved why they're still the best.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so that's it for the NBA and the NHL seasons. So now we have the off season.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're going to be talking about the latest trades and signings. And Shay's going to start us off.
Yeah, it is one of the loneliest times of the year. Sports are over. All we have is baseball and NASCAR, which is great. Obviously, that's fantastic. But to go along with that, we still have Marvel to talk about and DC, whatever else. We still have plenty of to talk about. But now we have the off season, so we're going to be talking about trades, different signings, hopefully not any injuries, any good stories or whatever throughout the off season. So don't worry, people. We still have a lot to talk about. Starting off, because the off season is here officially now, the Phoenix Suns traded superstar, one of the greatest of all time for sure, Kevin Durant, to the Houston Rockets. The Suns do receive Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in this year's draft, and 5 second-round picks in return. So the Suns got a massive haul for KD, which they don't have any draft picks since they traded them all away to get KD years ago. So I'm sure they're very happy about this. And they get a lot of players in return who can help their team right away. So I think this is a great trade for both sides. And the Rockets, I mean, they're right there last year as a super young team. So now you get the superstar talent of Kevin Durant. Hey, they could be in the conference finals to compete with OKC next year, I think, for sure.
Yeah, for the Houston Rockets and the Suns, I agree with you. I think this is a great trade for both sides. I think both sides get what they want. For the Rockets, they're a great young team. They have a lot of talent. So I think they can afford to give up a couple pieces to bring in some veteran help. Kevin Durant, a 2-time finals MVP and NBA championship, is a proven winner. So I think he's going to provide them with a lot of fantastic veteran leadership.
Oh, yeah.
And, they can afford to, trade out some picks and here and there because they're obviously a contender. And for the Suns, they recuperate a lot of assets and they get players back in return. So, yeah, I think they did well in the trade as well.
Yeah, win-win.
So, all right, moving on to the next trade. The New Orleans Pelicans trade their star, CJ McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a second-round pick to the Washington Wizards for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and the number 40 pick in this year's draft.
Yeah, I would say this is probably along the same lines as up top. Not as big of superstars, but a win-win for both sides for sure. Wizards are, I mean, since the John Wall era, trying constantly every year trying to get out of the basement. So
they are making some moves.
Yeah, they're making moves to try and do it. So I think this is a win-win for both sides.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, moving on to the Boston Celtics. My Celtics trade away 36-year-old Drew Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers for 26-year-old Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks. The deal does save Boston $40 million in luxury tax payments next season. So what do we get? We knew going into the offseason there were questions about the roster, especially the price of the roster, most expensive roster in basketball. And now with the injury to Tatum, there had to be some moves because we just need the help. So we get rid of Drew Holiday, one of the best defensive players in the league, but he is up there in age. He is getting old, and he's not the same Drew Holiday he was 3-4 years ago. So we get Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks. Simons, he's going to be able to at least somewhat fill up Jason Tatum's production offensively, so that is definitely good. However, he was the fourth from the bottom in ranked defense last year. So there's a lot that he has to work on. So, hey, maybe moving to Boston after 7 seasons with Portland, we'll do that. And we get 2 second-round picks, so that's pretty good. But the most important thing for the Celtics here was to shave off some of that luxury tax, which they did. But we're still way over with Porzingis and Derek White, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum, obviously.
Yeah, and I was going to say the Celtics, even with moving Drew Holiday, they are still looking at maybe potentially moving more players.
Yep.
So my question is, are you happy that it was Drew Holiday? Obviously, take that with, don't take that the wrong way, but like if any 5 were to get traded, would you have picked Drew Holiday as potentially being, the best fit? Or would you want them to have traded somebody else?
After reading about it a little bit more and digging into it, I think they made the right move. Drew Holiday behind Al Horford. Drew Holiday is the oldest guy on the team. His production has gone down. He was injured a lot this year. So I think it was a good move. His contract was big too. So, it helps, like we already said, helps with that luxury tax. But his defensive play is going to be severely missed. So I don't know how our defense is going to be. We were 3rd in the league last year as far as the total defense. So I don't know. But I don't see us being like we have been the last few years, like top 1, top 2 in the league, or in the East, I should say. I could see us being bottom 8, sneaking into the playoffs because of Tatum's injury. This is going to be a mass, if he doesn't get traded, which I hope to God he doesn't. This is going to be a massive season when it comes back around for Jaylen Brown to prove himself. It's his team now.
Yeah, prove that he's not just, a 1B or sidekick to Tatum.
Correct.
So do you expect Boston, like, at all to contend for the championship next year? Or is it like, let's just play out next season, see what happens? Don't expect championship, and then we'll roll into, the season after with our core and try to get better.
I still think we're going to make moves. I still think we could say bye to like Porzingis, maybe even Derek White. There's talks of Jaylen Brown going too, which I keep the Jays together, please.
I think them trading Jaylen Brown would be a terrible move.
Yeah, I agree. So there's still moves to be made. I would think. It's hard to say. I think once Tatum comes back, and if he plays like he used to, and he's healthy, we could be right there back in contention. So for right now, I would say we just have to, see how the season goes, and see where we are once he comes back. Probably 3/4 of the way through the season, I would think.
Yeah. All right. yeah, we'll see how the Celtics offseason plays out after this move has been made.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And finally, on our trade talks and signings, after 2 full seasons off, former Chicago Blackhawks captain Jonathan Toews will make his return to the NHL. Pending July 1st, because that's when free agency starts, Toews will sign a 1-year deal with the Jets worth $2 million. That's the cap hit, but has a ton of bonuses based on how many games he plays and how far the Jets go in the playoffs. So I think he could earn up to a total of $5 million.
Okay.
So I like this contract for Toews and the Jets. Basically, hey, let's see what you can do after a couple seasons off. Give you a 1-year deal. Keeps the cap hit down with the bonuses, and all those bonuses get applied to next season's salary cap.
Yeah.
And for Toews, if based on his performance, he has the opportunity to earn more money. So I like the contract for both sides.
Yeah, I agree. Welcome back, Toews, to the league. 2 years off. That's got to be tough. Is he going to be rusty? Is he going to be out of shape, like out of conditioning? Before we started, you did say he did keep up with make sure he was staying in shape, but obviously nothing compares to being in the game. So we'll just have to see how it goes. But hey, welcome back.
Yeah, he is 37 years old, so I don't expect, a ton from him. But he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's like, hey, I want to come back, and I have the opportunity to show that I still belong in the National Hockey League. So I'm really excited to see what he does with the Jets.
Yeah.
This upcoming season.
It'll be a huge veteran presence for the team too.
Yep. 3 Stanley Cups, great defensive forward in his prime with Patrick Kane in Chicago. Yeah. So welcome back, Jonathan Toews, to the NHL, and we can't wait to see you play.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And that is going to do it for this week's episode.
That's right. Listen, everyone. 72 days. Okay. It's going to be a long summer, but we have a lot of things planned here. We have a lot of exciting things we want to work on to get coming up. We have new videos coming out. Our NBA mock draft video just came out. Make sure you go check that out. Our NHL mock draft video is going to be coming out soon because the drafts are right now, basically. So we got things coming up. We have an all Marvel episode coming within, this summer. So stick around. There's plenty to still talk about and discuss.
Yeah, a lot of great content coming out. We're really excited. We think the last few episodes that we have done, including this one, has been some of our best. So if you listen to all of them, we really appreciate you listening.
Oh, yeah.
And if you haven't yet, go check us out.
Yeah. Hit that subscribe button.
Yep, make sure to like the video as well because it really helps out with the algorithm. Again, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. Any color. We include all colors. Make sure to comment down below on any of these topics. We want to get in on the discussion with you guys, so let us know your thoughts.
Hey, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, wherever else, we love you.
That's right. But if you come to YouTube, you get day early access. So keep that in mind.
What?
And also don't forget to follow our socials where we post updates, bonus content that doesn't make the podcast, and any other stuff that we find interesting. And yeah, that is going to do it for this week's episode. Again, thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you in the next one.